Here we go.
Hi, everybody. Happy Sunday.
Woo!
At least we got that. At least we got that going.
Small
for us.
wins, small victories.
Oh, my goodness gracious. We're going to do our absolute best to pretend that nothing's going on.
Nothing's happening.
Nothing's
We're
even
okay.
happening right now. We're fine.
Fine.
We're
What's
cool.
wrong? What are y'all talking about?
Nothing like talking about dark true crime to pull me out of the mood. You know, that is it is kind of sick that it has been like comfort in a way, like the Gilgo Beach murders it's such a dark story, but I've been like entrenched in it because it's I don't know, it's somehow getting my mind off of things.
Oh my God. I knew I barely had time this week to watch, and I was like, I have to like watch that at some point. But then I remembered that the Ohio State story came out on Max this week, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch that instead. I'm gonna let Emily refresh my memory because Gilgo Beach for us true crime people, like we've heard every podcast, so I'm gonna let you tell me what's different about this one, and then I'm gonna watch this upcoming week. I got to download it for the plane. Okay,
I think that is fair because there has been so much coverage of the Long Island serial killer.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you know the story, we'll get into it. I'm actually going to mix it up. What?
I was gonna tell you, I took notes, so I'll take like 2 minutes to tell y'all all about the Ohio State Surviving Ohio State documentary. I took some notes because are y'all familiar?
I watched
that's one thing. Oh, did you? Okay, because that's one thing. Like that's one story that like I have like followed throughout the years, just because like in college it was very like male centric, very sports head. So like this story I've known about like forever, and it's just one that always like whenever there's an update, I'm like, ooh, what's going on? And that damn Jim Jordan, I always have a stray for Jim Jordan's ass. So that's a good one.
Why don't we? Okay, so what I think we're gonna do today, we'll start actually. Like I want to hear about this Ohio State stuff. Actually, so we'll start with that. Actually, no, wait. We'll start with this. I meant to show you this last week. Oh, by the way, if anyone missed what happened last week, so I woke up to my internet being down, and I mean, the whole grid was down. Like my sister's was out too, and it was down all day long, all night long, till the next day. I was like,
"That's so annoying."
It's also so stupid how much it fucks me up. Like it needs to not be that dramatic for me, but it's like I kept going to turn on the TV. I'm like, can't watch TV.
Literally everything is like it all like runs together. When one thing's out, you can't do a damn thing, and it's like, what am I supposed to do? Read? It's
yeah,
like, okay,
exactly. What am I supposed to do? Go outside right now?
Right, like go for a hike.
Whatever. So I just was very I was very emotional about it. I was just like, this is not fair. This is not after like the No Kings protest day where it felt like awesome.
Right.
And then I was like, Spectrum, it was a hate crime. Spectrum doing that to us. That was actually, no, it was an act of vandalism. We got an email from Spectrum and they were like, due to an act of vandalism, we were out, but like rewards for anyone who knows something that happened.
It's like, bitch, fix it. How about that? Like, don't worry about a damn reward. Like you go fix it right now. You know how to work that. That's your poll.
Exactly.
Like, stop it.
Exactly. Anyway, so that's why we didn't do this last. So last week I've been holding on to this video, this creepy ass video. Someone tagged me in this on TikTok. Ooh. And we talked about the Diddy trial and how he had been intimidating the jury. And they were like, tell him to stop. Well, this someone tagged me in this, and I'm like, was this what this really was? Okay, I'm gonna play it.
Okay.
Might know us. I don't know, maybe. So I'm just gonna explain. Usually, Sean Combs will do this thing where he does a sweep of the press pews when he first walks into the courtroom. He's like hugging his attorneys. He'll look to the public side, which is on his right, and then we're kind of diagonal from him. And he oftentimes, since more of his supporters are coming to the courtroom these days, he'll shoot them little hand hearts. He'll put his hand to his chest. He'll now thank you. And then the press pews, we get a simple glance over and sometimes a nod. Now, clearly, this stands out to both my researcher and I really strongly because on Thursday, we even write the time down, at 8:50 a.m., jurors are not in the courtroom. Sean Combs sits down at his chair and he turns in his chair to the right. This is our eye direction, like we can see him now. He starts staring in what felt like in our general direction or perhaps right behind us, and it's a pretty lengthy stare. And then he starts nodding nodding while mouthing the words dramatically, "I know you." He mouths it twice with what we perceive to be a smirk. Then as he's turning back around to face the front, he's like ever so slightly shaking his head while he's still smirking. But again, I'm not trying to be dramatic. I don't know if he was looking at me. He could have been looking behind me, right? But then right at that moment, the jury comes in, we all stand up, and as there's noise in the courtroom, because we're not allowed to talk when the judge is on the bench, a reporter from a major media network, I mean, she's been doing this for years and years. She's like a professional. She turns to me and she whispers, quote, "You're putting that in your video, right?" Because that was at least 7 seconds. So my researcher and I, we both felt it was weird. We both wrote it down independently in our notes in the courtroom. We talked about it after, and we're like, you know what? We can't be sure. We don't want to be dramatic. Then it happens again on Friday, a week later. So on Friday, there's this moment where there's a sidebar. Sean Combs' attorneys are near the front of the courtroom with the judge, and regardless, the jurors are still sitting on the side. Sean Combs turns around, and then he talks to his mom, and then he's smiling, nodding at her. He's like mouthing, "I love you." And then my neck is tilted still because I'm observing him, and I'm taking notes about him talking to his mom during this sidebar. And as he's making his turn back to the front, it felt like we make awkward eye contact. And I say awkward to the point where I'm like, you know when it's so awkward, you almost like instinctively smile or look down because you're like, oh, I just got caught staring at someone. That was the feeling. It was like, oh, I literally just got caught staring him down. And he starts rubbing his chin with his left hand and mouths what appears to seem like, "I know you, I know you." And this time it seemed more pronounced because as he's rubbing his chin with his left hand, he does like a slight index point. It's not like a point. He's not pointing his finger, but it's kind of like a hand gesture, like, "I know you," like kind of like you, like almost pointing at you, whoever you is. Then he turns to the front. And it was just so odd. It was just weird. And again, he knows us, he doesn't know us. Does it really matter? I don't think so. But I did almost pee myself. Like, that's all I'm trying to say.
You in danger, girl. You in danger, girl.
That's like so like villain in a movie shit. You know, like it's like the chin, like, "I know you." Oh.
It also too, like, I wonder, God, I would love some context around this because I'm guessing she's big on social media. I'm assuming maybe. I don't know.
Yes.
I'm not familiar with her. That's the only reason I'm asking. So I'm assuming so. So it makes you wonder, like, because like if I did that to her in the courtroom, like, "I know you," it's like, cause I love your videos, like I watch you, you keep me updated on this and that. But like him being a defendant, being like, "I know you," that's like a whole that feels different to me. I don't know about that.
Oh no, that's very different. It feels threatening.
Especially with those pictures. If he looked like that while he said it, I'd be scared. I'm just saying.
Right? I know. So there's been so much going on with the Diddy trial, but I'm not going to do an update today because we have enough to discuss going on. Okay, now I'm so curious about your Ohio State take.
Oh, okay. I wish we get more documentaries like this because I think it was very important that they included in there. Because for those that don't know, it was heavily like male victims, like for the
this is in the 70s.
Oh, it ranged from like 78, like for 40 years. Yeah, went on for 40 years. Isn't that crazy?
It's
like, went on for a long time, or like at least in like the mid like 2000s. Like it was crazy. He finally, well, not finally, sorry. He committed suicide in the sue word, in 2005 is what it was. Yeah. And so we need way more documentaries like this because they included in there all the backlash that they got online. And I think that's a really important piece because people were saying stuff like, for those that don't know, it was like this guy, he was the medical examiner at Ohio State, and everyone said he was very inappropriate, and like inappropriate is that's a very generous
understatement.
Term. Yes,
he would be like jacking off in the locker room, watching them shower
because he had lockers in all of the teams' like areas, which is already weird. Like, why is that allowed to happen? That is so creepy. And like taking showers at the same time as them, waiting for, like, he would come out, like dry off. He would see another guy that he liked go in there, and he's like, "Oh, I forgot to wash my legs," and then he goes back in there to shower again. Like really creepy stuff. And so I think this is important because they showed like people's reaction online when this stuff first started coming out, and everyone's like, "Oh, a 19-year-old wrestler couldn't do anything about an old man making him feel uncomfortable. Why don't you just punch him in the face?" and like all that kind of stuff. And like people, like the victim blaming that happened when they all started coming out was insane. So like one thing was he had lockers, like I said, in all of the like the team's locker rooms. So like this was hockey, it was football, it was basketball, it was all of the. He had
why would why would a doctor, why would the medical guy need a locker in every single locker room?
Insane. Literally no reason at all, which just goes to show you that people knew about this. Obviously they figured that out, but you know, people knew about this. He would shower, like one of the guys recounted like him being in there and it was just them two. And so he was like, "Oh, I'm already uncomfortable." But like, you know, when you shower, you face the shower for the most part. He was like turned around looking at this guy, full erection, just like going to town on himself. And then so like making everybody just like super weird stuff like that. They talked about the hernia checks. That was a big part of it. How like, first of all, this guy so creepy because like they would come in, they'd be like, "Oh my God, I think I rolled my ankle at practice today." He's like, "Oh, okay, we need to do a full body exam." And they're like, "Full body? Why? Like, why do we need to do a full body exam for I rolled my ankle?" "No, I got to check your hernia and everything." He's like, like, what are we? Creepy stuff like that. Like he was like, people knew that like it was bad, but like he would get away with all of it because nobody else was speaking up, and so they all thought it was normal.
Too, because he targeted people who were on scholarships, boys who were on the scholarships that needed the program, and if they lost the program, they would be penalized and lose everything. Anyone who had the power, who like wasn't on a scholarship or whatever, he would probably not fuck with. I think he tried to fuck with one who didn't need the scholarship, and they were like, "What the fuck?" But yeah, so he was even like grooming and sussing out those that he knew would be fucked.
Yes. Exactly
that. Spoke out. So
it's so creepy. Like he would do that to like all like so many. So what it comes out ended up being, it was over 170 victims. I think the exact number that they said that they were like able to determine was 177 victims.
That is like crazy.
Total. That's so wild. So wild. And so he would do that, like hernia checks, all this kind of stuff. At some point, he gets into photography. And so he's like, "Oh, you want to come to my house? I'll take some photos of you. You're a good looking guy," like all this kind of stuff. Like touching them during the photo shoot, like all kinds of like creepy stuff. But like the main reason they were, like you said, like that, the scholarships. But then they were like, "Well, I mean, this is Ohio State. Like everybody wants to be at Ohio State. And if nobody else has said anything about this guy, why do I need to? Like, obviously I need a hernia check. If I'm, if I rolled my ankle, like that's a normal thing that's happening." And the people that did start to speak up, they would like tell their coaches, we gonna talk about Jim Jordan's ass, but they would tell their coaches, and they're like, that's just Richard Strauss. He just does it. That's him. So they've completely normalized this for all of these guys. So
that is crazy. The stories that they were being told, and they were just going, "Well, I mean, yeah, that's Strauss. I mean."
Right. Like, huh?
That is insane.
Insane. The hockey player guy, so that felt like escalation. I don't know if it ever gotten to that point yet, but that was full-on escalation. He talked about how he lost his scholarship because he literally kept thinking about how like that full body exam like felt so violating to him. He couldn't focus on anything else. And so he talked about one time he was like, "I need to go to the doctor." Like had this, like, I think it was a spasm in his throat, maybe something like that. And he gave him Strauss. It was like at night. Strauss gave him a shot, and he's like, "Oh, that's gonna like help to relax the spasm like out of your throat or whatever." He's like, "Okay, perfect." The guy says he starts to feel kind of woozy, and Strauss is like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll just drive you home." Already, like, I was like, "Oh no, I don't like where this is going." He's like, "I'm gonna just drive you home. It's okay. Like, I'll get you there, and it'll be all right. The medicine will start to work soon." He says he remembers the car ride like a little bit, but he mostly remembers like being so out of it that like he didn't know what was happening. He gets up there. The guy, he like starts to like, essentially become paralyzed, and so he lays him on the bed and essentially, does the thing, sexually assaults him like full blown. And so it's a whole thing. all these years, like they stay, like all of them, like, you know, are silent. They're like, I don't want to like touch this. This is too much and all this stuff. But then the Larry Nassar stuff starts to happen.
Yes.
And that's what finally gave everyone like the courage to be like, you know what? They're speaking up. We all need to speak up. And y'all, obviously, y'all know Michigan State, Larry Nassar. We know that from the girls' gymnastics team. Like, who was Allie Raisman? Allie Raisman was one of the like the key people that spoke out against him. And so
Simone Biles spoke too.
Simone Biles, yes, like so many people speaking out about how inappropriate he was, and like so the Larry Nassar thing finally kicked off like some OSU investigations, and I think by the time they started investigating, I think he had already committed. Yeah, he had already passed, so
yep,
he was gone. But they were like the point, according to OSU, the whole point of the investigation was it was two things: to one, to see if he was actually doing this stuff, but then two, to see if other people like on staff at the time and the faculty actually knew what was happening. And they determined, yeah, both of these things were very true. 177 victims and multiple people knew. And Jim Jordan, despite all of the denying he's been doing, y'all know he's a congressman. Sure. A rep, you know, he's one of the people, okay? Jim Jordan, he's someone that's like never been held accountable, even though everyone, like all of these victims have said he knew. I know he knew because like he was one of the guys that would tell me, no, that's just Strauss. Like he does that kind of stuff. And other people like, no, I blatantly told him, like he knew. And, you know, so he's denied all of that. He's been denying the whole time. And then, you know, the report comes out and they go in litigation. OSU publicly is like, oh no, we're on your side. We stand with you. This is terrible. But then behind the scenes, they're like, courts, we need y'all to dismiss this immediately because what's actually happening. Yeah.
I think that's what was so sad is there really was like no justice.
Right.
You know, like him already being gone and not available for, you know, questioning and prosecution and shit was very unsettling. It's like, that feels not, I hate it.
Right.
But they just felt like, wow, these guys they came out, they put themselves out there and they still got kind of screwed.
Literally. For those asking in the comments that joined late, we're talking about the Surviving Ohio State documentary on HBO. So it was a good one. It's about an hour 45. And so it's a good watch. Yeah, a good watch. Watch it. It's great because it's male victims speaking out. And so they're talking about everything from like what happened, the reactions they got online, like litigation, a little bit of everything. So great documentary. And you get to see what a creep Jim Jordan is because he denies it every single chance he gets. But we all know. We know Jimmy.
We know
Jimmy.
Jim.
We know. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that was a good one. That was a good one.
It was.
What else? I watched another like solo one-off doc, and I can't remember what it was because I sometimes like to watch just a series. But I
bet you watched the Ocean Gate one.
Oh, I started it. Not that, but something else. Can't remember. It'll come to me. It'll come to me later. Did you finish it?
I fell asleep at one point and woke back up. It was one of those days. I was like, "Who chat?" And then I never bothered to go back and like rewind to see what I missed. I was like, "Girl, I know the story. Okay, let me just."
That's kind of what. Yeah, but was it worth? Is it worth me going back to finish it?
No.
Yeah, because I started it and then I was like, I kind of know this. I'm gonna go check something else out, and then I forgot it even existed until you said that. I was like, oh yeah.
I will say most of the documentary is about everything before that point, but like not just like leading up to like that day. It was like the different iterations that the submarine went through, like how they were still convincing people to they had never had a successful like run through of that submarine, even like up until that time. So it was just all like influencers were invited out.
Stupidest thing. It was like it just was a clear like death trap. So
clearly, like my goodness.
Death trap. Okay, we're gonna mix it up and we're gonna do Atlanta now because I'm gonna end with Gilgo because it's just a lot of information to get going. And we have 2 weeks of Atlanta, and we had some like online drama that happened 2 weeks ago too that I wanted to talk about with Ralph.
Jesus.
Okay. We'll get to it. Yeah, we'll get to it.
Ralph.
We just had episode 15. This is episode 14 that I'm gonna like catch us up on real quick.
Okay.
On the way back from the dinner, Britt gets super sick in the car ride home. This is kind of a small thing. She takes her outfit off And then when she's telling her husband, she's like, because I got to protect the outfit. I'm like, you mean you rented this look and you need to return it and you need to make sure it doesn't get destroyed.
Rent the runway.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what that felt like.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's what that was.
Right. Which I guess, like, there's sustainable fashion. Maybe that's a better thing to rent. I don't know. Like, still, but that's what that was. She was trying to be all like cool about it. I'm like, no, girl, that's
But now that we know that, she needs some coin, obviously.
Some coins. $20 million is what she's going for. Girl, please.
Yeah.
They're really setting the stage this episode too for the Angela and Charles, like whatever the hell it is, because she can't get a hold of him. But then they'll cut over to, like, she keeps trying to call him, and they'll cut to her confessional, and she's like, "We are just falling in love with each other again every single day."
Okay.
Okay. And then when she finally does get a hold of him, he's just like, "Oh, yeah, I don't. Sure, you're
Right.
there. I don't miss you." And
Right.
so they're really laying the groundwork.
So what do you mean?
He's making it easy for them to make him look like the husband who doesn't care about his wife. Like, they're like, we're not even trying. Remember when the producer, when they were in their duo confessional, the producer was like, "Do you love Angela?"
And she's like looking him dead in the face, like,
And then literally Angela goes, because they're trying to see that you prove that you do love me, because she can feel like, she's like, there's no footage of it. There's no footage.
Right.
Being nice. So anyway, but speaking of Charles, Phaedra talks. I thought this was hilarious because Phaedra tried to act. No one's looking through. No one's like seeing through this. Phaedra tried to act like she knows Charles. And she's like, no one knew he was married. She said it. She hadn't partied with him in about 10 years. So she doesn't know. Like, she doesn't know. But she spoke on it with the level of authority that a housewife should if they're trying to create some drama. Because it's like when she said, I haven't partied with him for 10 years, but we know no one knew he was married. I'm like, well, wasn't he not married at that time?
Right. I wonder if Charles was invited to the reunion, because that would be interesting to get them two on stage to talk about their relationship, like whether they were friends or not. Like, I'd like to know.
I wonder if he was invited. Would he go?
Oh, for sure. He seems very supportive of her doing this show. I will say, like, he's filming more than any, like, I mean, he's filming like the way Peter Thomas was filming back in the day. Like, he's there. So he always, like, he congratulates her online and like that kind of stuff. So
does he?
Yeah, he seems to be in it. Like, I mean, it gives her something, to get out of his face about. So I'm sure he's all about it. He's like, you know what?
He's like, I love it.
Go to Grenada. Yes, go to Grenada.
Get out of here. Okay. There's that we skipped through the day because we don't need to talk about it. But then they get back to the house. Shamia, I'm gonna say something maybe that's like unpopular, but like
energy suck.
Yeah, Shamia's passive aggressiveness.
Oh, okay.
Really does like irritate me. And like, I'm kind of like not loving Shamia on the show.
I'm actually, I've clocked that too. Cause like, especially towards like Brit, I mean, like
very much that.
Thanks. But like, yeah, like that much. But for me, she's very much an energy suck too.
She's
like
trying so hard.
Yeah, like she's always like, I feel bad for Sam, but I feel like every time I see Shamia, she's crying, and I'm like, oh, here we go again. Like Atlanta is the fun show, so it's like I'd like to have fun. Like, and when she's fun, she's fun. So I love that, but can we get back to that at some point? I don't know.
I just feel like every time they cut to her confessional, she's going over the top and she's just trying to show how fun she is and how, it's just, it doesn't feel like authentic. It makes me like kind of nervous, but passive aggressiveness is one of my least favorite qualities in a person. And so when instead of just saying what she wants to say to Brit, she says it in that awful passive aggressive way that makes it really hard. So Brit had tried to like kind of blame them for her getting sick.
Yeah.
And so she was like, oh, you guys have to, I'm going to say no to you guys when I do shots or whatever she said. So then Shamia is making a shot for herself and Cynthia's right there. And Cynthia's like, I would like one. And Shamia gets all passive aggressive. And she's like, well, I don't want to be pressuring anyone. I don't want to say I don't want you to say I'm pressuring you. And Brit's like, I'm right here. Like, if you want to say it to me, you can just say it to me because I don't know. No one knows how to like come back to passive aggressiveness. Like there's like,
No
it's so
one.
difficult to respond to it.
You have to respond to it in a passive aggressive way. Like that's the only thing you can do.
Yes, because if they're being passive aggressive, then you can't be like, so are you saying this is to me? No, I'm just saying it's in general, you know, so you're like, so you're fucked. Once they start with the passive aggressiveness, you're fucked. So then they get to dinner and Kelly thanks the women for donating. And Portia is like, I'm just glad when we can come together and give. I gave $1,000.
This is so messy.
And then this is where like Shamia, that was funny. Like Portia doing that was kind of funny. She stopped there. But then Shamia goes, yeah, you know, if you have the ability to give, this is when you do your big one. You can't pull up in a Birkin and Rolls Royce and Bentleys and not really give when it counts. And so then Britt, knowing that she's talking about her, is like, that felt like a little shade.
And it was, yes.
And it was. But then Shamia denies it. You know, when she goes, you said showing up with Birkins and Rolls. You're not the only one with the Birkin. I drive a Rolls Royce.
See, that's what I hate. Because like, if you're gonna be passive aggressive, fine, I'll get over it. But when you get called to the carpet for what you're saying, you've got to be able to stand on it. Like you can't just say, "Oh no, it wasn't." No, you need to be a housewife, and you need to say it was about you because you showed up to my house with 3 damn rolls of toilet paper. That's all you have to say. Funny moment. We could have moved on. Y'all could have argued it out, like whatever. But now we don't get that because what you want to be like. She wants the opportunity to be a victim because then if Britt goes off the handles, then it's like, well, why did I get attacked for it? Why did I, you know?
Ooh, kind of that. Kind of that.
Yep. That's why people are passive aggressive. That's exactly why, because they get to be the victim at the end of it. No matter who you are, you get to be the victim at it.
You just very like succinctly explained the psychological motivation behind people who are passive aggressive.
Yep.
And that was so simply put, but yes.
Because you can easily, like, you know, someone says, if you say something and they're like, well, you said this about me earlier. It's like, I was being genuine. That's all I had to say. I was being genuine when I said I was not being I was being genuine. It's like, no, you weren't. But now I look crazy for calling you out on it because on the surface, it was a nice comment. But no, it wasn't. It was nasty. And then
they could be like, I was just trying to be nice. Like, I can't even believe you're saying that. Like, that's, you're so right. Well said.
Thank you.
Because I'm thinking back to any time anyone's been passive aggressive with me, and that's very much the motivation. I'm like, oh, then they got it half the time because I hate passive aggressiveness. I need to like Google how to deal with a passive aggressive comment.
Ooh.
There's got to be a tactical strategy that I'm unaware of because it just gets under my skin.
I know. I would ask my therapist, but I feel like he's going to be like, you know, don't put any energy into it. I'm like, no, I want to. I'm like, what?
Like, no, I need the person who's going to show me how to fight.
Exactly. I would
That's
like
what
to
I need right now.
Engage.
I need that advice. That's exactly it. But then Kelly doesn't stand up for Britt. Kelly goes, I'm not saying it was the best donation, but I think Britt just is not aware of how much to give. Now, Kelly, in no world was that a friendly thing to say. Like, I obviously don't mind her saying it, but like, if I was your friend and that was the moment you chose to say that, I'd be like, what the fuck did you? Horrible.
Because I'm sure Britt already feels a way about Shamia and Kelly being so close. But then you had this moment where we're arguing and you already like made it clear, like, oh, I agree with Shamia. I'm on Shamia's team. Then it's like, oh, you mother. Oh, okay.
And then to say like, Britt just doesn't know. Which is very like, it's like, you know, very condescending too. You're like, thanks.
Right. Like,
you know, I mean, she does it. Like, I agree with Kelly, but it's still like, oh yeah, this is gonna get her. But then Britt starts like doing that thing where she bares her teeth, like she does, you know, like and she starts asking if someone has something to say it to her face. So Portia's like, all right, I'll make a little moment happen. So she goes, you brought up the whole like we don't support you thing at your event, which I love that they're not giving that to Britt. They're like, since when? Like, what? We don't know you.
Right. Exactly.
We don't even know you at all. We went to your event.
Right.
Like your weird ass
That
event.
tired ass event. We went. Like, we were there.
But then Britt responds with all the attitude, and Portia says, "Let's talk friendly." And Britt goes, "You're the one who can't save a phone number and respond to a text message." And I'm like, "Wait, where's this going?" Oh, you mean when they first all got each other's phone numbers and were in a group chat one time? She's like, "And who is this?" You've held on to that?
Like, how long ago was that? Are you kidding? How weird.
What, girl, you are just now. See, okay, see, all right.
It's weird. And I mean, was Portia out of line anywhere in that's like saying, "Who is this?"
No,
like, I don't have your what?
Because she's like, I'd already text the group, "Hey, can people like these numbers let me know who it is so I can, save it?" But they didn't get back to her. No one replied. And then there goes Britt texting, and Portia's like, "Who is this?"
Right.
And she's like, wow, can't even. You are holding on to anything you can find, anything you can get your hands on. It's like with Kenya in the ring.
I was just about to say, exactly. We know this is her MO. Just like take one little thing and hold on to it for as long as she can.
Because like the ring thing was just not it wasn't a problem the way she thought it was. It's like, no, I actually was confused as well. Like, I didn't know what you were talking about with your weirdo. The prime minister arrives, and he is very attractive, and they are all like distracted for a minute. So that's good. But then when he leaves, they're talking about how hot he is or whatever. And Britt says something about how, he might be married, just not wearing his ring. And Angela goes, "Yeah, my husband doesn't wear his." And I'm not kidding. I have laughed too hard at when they cut to Portia's confessional. Does she have Tourette's or something?
Because she keeps doing this.
Why is she hollering her business out like that? I died.
That's so funny. Because you literally, I think they cut back to it in the episode where, like, at Britt's thing, she was like, "And Charles doesn't have a child." They were like, "What?" Like, what? Excuse me? What are we talking about right now? What?
Because it's like, you had no need to say that.
No. And Charles is sitting there like, huh? Like, wait a minute, why am I in it? What's going on?
But I love they talked about it a little bit, and then Cynthia, who's not honestly meaning any shade at all, but she goes, I pray it all works out. And I love that Angela, right in the moment, though, was like, "Well, hold on. Now that could be a little." She's like, "No, I swear I didn't mean it like that. But like now I see what I just said, and that's not what I meant to do at all."
Can you imagine though being on a show like this and always having to be like, "Was that shade?" Like, wait a minute. It could be the most genuine thing. You like, now wait a minute, what that bitch say? Hold on.
Totally. You have to make sure that you don't like look stupid. Like, "Oh, thanks." Wait.
Right. Like, wait a minute. Hold on.
Hold on. And you like want to go back. You're like, "I'd like to rewind. I think you were being too late."
They would say that about Phaedra, like her early seasons. Like, so I forgot who it was, but they would be like, "I just be driving in the car and I think about something Phaedra said like 30 minutes ago." And I'm like, wait a minute, what did that bitch just say? Like, they never clock it in a moment. They're like, wait a minute, what did she say about me?
Oh my God. All right. So now they're leaving the dinner, and as they're just like trying to exit the restaurant and get into the vans, Britt's trying to start back up again with Portia. And Portia is like, "What? No, we're good. Like, stop it." So then they get into their vans, and she's sitting next to Britt's sitting next to Phaedra. And I was so grateful for Phaedra. I really was. Like, only someone maybe coming in right at this point in the show could have gotten through to Britt at all. Because, maybe she's already put up her defenses. Maybe the post Kenya stuff made her feel away. But like, Phaedra's a new person for her. And so Britt's like, "Tonight I was in the hot seat." And Phaedra should have says, "I think you're putting yourself in the hot seat. Exactly. You're sitting on ready." And she's like, "You're just joining a girl group. And you're going to have to show yourself friendly." Bloop. And then Brit's like, oh, I have to be more fake. And she goes, it's not fake. It's showing yourself friendly. If you have people over at your house, you better have a charcuterie board. I was like, that was the most Kendrick statement. I'm like, Kendrick would say that. Like, if this was Kendrick in this scene, he would have been like, very important. You understand when you bring someone over to your house, they need food.
Because why would you invite me to leave my home where I have food and have me over here where there is none? I hate this. And I'm never coming back.
I hate this. That's such a good way to put it. I have a lot of food at my house. I would never go to another house where there is no food because that's ridiculous. So
exactly.
Don't invite me if you don't have plenty of snacks.
Like, what is going on? At least I know if you ain't got no snacks, I know you got Uber Eats or DoorDash or something. Like, girl, figure it out.
But the other horrible thing that happens is that Shamia gets this awful call from her husband about this horrific sound. Like, what the fuck? Like, when she's throwing the baby in there with no clothes on, cold room. I'm like, who did what?
Right.
The hell? So they had hired someone through some service that they clearly, I don't know any other details. I don't know if they came out with it, but like, what was the service? Who was this person? Oh my God. But they all like kind of what?
Like that scenario, because like I feel like when you have like a child that's like dealing with as much as like Shiloh is, I feel like, do they not have like one person that's like, are they having to like call in multiple people
too? That's
right. And you know what? You know, her husband did not want to do the show like at all. He's being supportive, but he did not want to do the show. And I wonder if it's stuff like this that like was hesitant for him. It's like, oh, we both gonna be traveling a lot now. Like, we got to find like multiple.
Oh,
I wonder, because didn't we hear like Britt is gonna make like a nasty comment at some point?
Yes, I was waiting for it. I'm like, it's coming any second.
Right, it's gonna be aimed at Shamia, I think, and her mothering, and let's go. Britt. It's gonna be nasty.
I thought this was like laying the groundwork.
Me too.
Like, oh, okay, this is gonna be something in this. Well, because speaking of, they all get back to the villas, and Britt turns it into like her show, where she's like, she's like, Shamia, listen to me. We are sisters. But then she keeps being like, I know we're not cool right now. And I know that I don't really like you right now because of what you said earlier. We'll talk about that later, though. Now's not the time. But I just want you to know we're here for you. And it keeps going and going. But then after all that fucking craziness, then she goes and takes her shirt off and is all dancing topless.
Right.
Who is this woman?
Britt is a wild reality TV character, because I feel like I get a new personality every single episode. Yes. I don't know who she is, because like to go from crying about like being exposed online to then like trying to settle into Kenya's role on the show and just like make yourself unlikable to every person on the cast, to then being like Tata's free in Grenada and all. I'm like, who to this sister circle moment with Quad that we get. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot.
She is like a different personality. Honestly, that is I can't figure out who she is at all.
Right. Meg in the comments said we all know a Brit. Yes, we do.
We all know a Brit.
Yes, we do.
All right, so now this is this last week's episode 15. This scene with Phaedra comes to Cynthia and Portia's room. Delicious. This scene was so good. First of all, I was like, oh, Kendrick will love this part where Phaedra talks about how she has to fall asleep to murder shows.
Yes. I was like, same girl, same.
Relatable for sure. But then Phaedra tells them about the Glam Squad drama. Okay, because like Paris, the Glam Squad, the glam guy, has posted some things too.
Yes, he has.
I noted that when Britt was on Watch What Happens Live, that guy was there.
He was in the audience. Yep.
So that was telling. But this is just the silliest part. Phaedra was telling me that Britt has an inverted nipple, and then Portia looks over at Cynthia and goes, "Like your clit." And Phaedra goes, "Your clit with the KKK?" And Portia goes, "No, her clit is getting racially profiled. Her clit be getting pulled over, bitch." I was dying laughing with them. I was having the time of my life in that scene. That scene felt like nostalgia.
Yes, exactly what we needed. That was great.
That was great. All right. Well, then speaking of Kelly goes to Britt's room, and I was not expecting Kelly to be like talking about her shit, because I'm like, you have to know that Britt's going to be upset with you.
Right.
But Kelly's got this big phone call with the lawyer because she's got to go to court. So she's crying about that and how hard it's been. But then Britt's like, because I think Kelly's like, we had fun last night, right? Last night was fun. And Britt's like, well, the whole donation thing felt weird. And obviously what Britt is trying to say is like, why weren't you there for me? But Kelly, I feel like Kelly like kind of digs the knife in further. She's like, she just wanted you to show up more. Like how you got and I forgot that she had said she got her staph plastic surgery.
Yes.
That's not great. Yeah. And she's like, I just feel like you have a bigger purpose. But then Britt's response does not make any sense. She goes, I love that you're so giving and welcoming, but sometimes it's okay for it to be just Kelly. What?
What does it mean?
She goes, I feel like you use your team as a shield. And then that's when Kelly's like, oh, that's what this is about.
Right. Like clearly, because you did not transition that well.
Yeah, because we were talking about donating and charity work. And now you're talking about me having a glam squad and needing to be more what are you saying? And she's like, you don't need to have a whole team around all the time. And so Kelly tells us that Britt had a meeting with her whole glam team. And okay, I'm going to read what Paris has said because I'm a little confused even.
Yeah.
So someone comments, obviously he had a falling out with Kelly. And he says, actually, not at all. When someone calls your phone and starts screaming and talking to you crazy and using profanity, and you actually were doing them a favor, it's very easy to walk away. Kelly isn't a bad person. She just loves drama too much. Oh, and then he liked a comment that said, because Kelly doesn't have the funds.
Oh. Now that's the fighting words right there.
Okay, so then someone tweeted, while Kelly is fake AF, why did Britt think it would go over well to have a staff meeting with people who are not a part of your official team? All that money and you can't get your own makeup artist at least? And then Paris responds, but Kelly came to the meeting in the end drunk. Britt even Ubered her there. I don't know what that means. Came to what meeting? Like, did she show up at Britt's meeting?
Right. Like, was she not invited and then came anyway? Or was she invited the whole time and showed up late? Like, I'm confused about that too. I don't know. This seems very typical Housewives though, to be fighting over glam, especially. Like,
absolutely.
We've seen this song and dance before.
It's not new. It's not new at all. I am just kind of confused at like what the issue is. I do think that maybe I think at some point Kelly wanted to switch teams and go over to Shamia and was realizing that Britt isn't who she thought she was.
Oh,
or wanted her to be. I think she started to like slowly like want a distance. And so Britt having like her same glam team was like, well, no, now I don't want that.
Yep.
And was like backtracking because they came in like such strong allies and pretending to be like longtime friends, but we know better. They don't have any pictures of them from like back in the day. So
right.
So I feel like somewhere along the way, she thought Shamia was the one she wanted to tack on to.
I was going to say something super similar. I was going to say, I thought she got nervous, the same thing, because Britt is a nightmare. But I thought she was going to I thought it was like a more of a, Britt is honestly, I don't know how she's going to treat these people. I don't want her around. Like, because, when you're glam, you're vouching for this person. Like, oh, she's great. Go over there, do her makeup. She's going to pay on time. She's going to be so respectable. And we've seen now, especially with that tired ass party she threw, we've seen how Britt interacts with staff members. Not the best. So I would be a little fit, regardless of whether it's your situation or mine. I think I'll be pushing away from Britt too.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like we support it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay. So, but then by the pool, Shamia and Kelly have matching outfits, and Angela being excited for Britt to be mad was kind of amazing. Like when she was like, Britt's gonna be mad. Like she was so excited. She was like, yes. You could just tell like when Britt came out, she's like, look.
She's like, aren't they cute? You see this right here?
Cute, right here.
Love it.
How do we feel about it, Britt? These besties over here. But okay, Drew and Kelly are talking about like their similar divorces and stuff. Mm-hmm. And Drew says, yeah, Ralph and I were coming up on our 10 years. We were going to do a vow renewal. I'm like,
Oh,
of
well,
course
girl.
you were.
Now, if any marriage needed a vow renewal, it was that one. So we can go ahead and end that shit. So yeah,
Exactly.
that
Like,
makes sense.
end it already.
Mhm.
End it. But Ralph has taken to social media. First, he like posted, this was like, he did like a photo shoot. He like posted some like, he's a creep. He is a total freaking creep.
Yeah.
And so this is what he tweets. Drew is dealing with Black sexually. Sorry, that's just a funny way to put it. What?
He's such a weirdo. God.
Whoever you are dealing with them sexually. Like, I actually kind of think that's funny to use. Like, are you dealing with them sexually? Like, what? And he's dealing with Black sexually and trying to get back with me. Sure.
Okay, right. Okay, Ralph.
Most of the things you saw on TV was fabricated. I played the bad guy for Drew to keep her peach, and now she's taking it too far. Tampa didn't happen the way y'all thought. She had my location on her phone. Nope. Don't believe that at all. Because I can tell, as much as Drew lies, I can tell that she did not want her marriage to look like it did.
Right.
And that's kind of what made it so weird, because we were watching it and she'd be like, no, still love Ralph. And we're like, I don't know, girl.
Right. And you're actually getting divorced.
Yeah. So I don't believe him, for the record. Don't believe him at all.
Well, the reason I don't believe it is because the Tampa thing was literally their introductory scene to us. So why was her peach in danger if she was a new housewife?
Thank you.
That's what I'm like, timing wise, that makes no sense to me. Like, they let Drew develop over the season. Tampa, was gross, but like, we got it that episode. Like, we the fans were focused on it, but that episode is what we got, and then we continued to get to know Drew and Ralph. Like, Tampa wasn't like this big long thing that was drawn out. Like, no, Ralph. You're counting on us being you forgot the fan base you're dealing with. Boy,
thank you. We have a memory only for these shows, and that's it. Yep. I got nothing else retained in here. But then he shares a screenshot from it looks like from Drew's phone, allegedly to Black, where it said, like, someone says, "Are you cuffing me, Miss Sedora? Consider yourself cuffed, baby. Don't be selfish. Yeah, I know what's up. Okay, Mr. Black, landing at 10:15, but probably do have an early." How does he have her text messages?
Right. Like, what is this? Literally, whenever like someone like gets text message from someone else's phone, I always think, now the reality TV thing is, it's connected to the iPad. So I took a screen of the iPad. That's the only thing I ever think. So I'm like, unless it's an iPad screenshot, I don't believe it. Because you can doctor anything nowadays.
All right, we're not even done. We're not even done with what he said. He also then posts, Drew, you're being extremely, all in caps, disrespectful. The only reason I'm in the basement is because you lied and said I'm abusing my son. Now you're lying about me bringing a woman in the house. This is what truth looks like. I can keep going. Looking desperate, shaking my head. And so it's again, Drew's, maybe it's the iPad. Again, so Drew texting someone, and it said, he said JK, and Drew says, I was about to say, and then the next person says, but he told me he got sex about 3 times since he's seen me. Damn, are you asking? I don't even know exactly who this is between. Well, sis, I don't even know who we're talking about. Like, I don't know what he's showing us at all. Then the next one, I advised Drew to stop lying and speaking negatively about my character, integrity, and or discrediting my name. This bad guy storyline was successfully used every season, and now it's time to say goodbye. Hashtag RHOA.
Oh boy.
Listen, we've already established when we read through the stuff from the divorce and like the assets and the whatever. I'm sticking with, I think Ralph has no money and has been lying about everything and is like a full on scammer.
I believe it.
No need to convince me. The way he's trying to come for her money, but I'm like, where's your money?
Right.
You don't have any money to show, but you need to figure out where her money is. And because she switched up the account and like stopped routing it directly to you, you're like, well, what the fuck? Yeah. Why was it routing directly to you?
Exactly.
So, So yeah, he's just full of lies and period, end of story.
Yep. He's a weirdo, a grosso.
Okay, the rest of the episode, it's kind of just cute stuff. Portia gives Shamia the big hat. They do the photo shoot. They do the jab. And this was a lot. This was fun. I have to say, Cynthia's hair condoms were innovative.
Mm-hmm.
She was so proud. She was like, she knew it too. She's like, yeah, that's right.
You better get creative. Otherwise, you got to take their hair down when you get back home.
I was thinking the whole time, like looking at their hair, looking at their clothes, looking at the next day. Phaedra's like, Britt got all up in my entire body to clean it out. But I would need that too. I mean, that's like when you go to the beach, you get like sand and you're like, I feel it everywhere. I need it out of me. But that like black tar, like, I'm like, is it makeup remover? How do you ever get it off?
I couldn't imagine. Like, I would imagine like taking one good shower, but then after you're still like, damn, it's under my fingernails. Like, it's how am I? You got to take like it's oof. Like I would love to do that experience, but then I'm like, oh no, I'm okay.
I would go with like a full hazmat suit. I'm like, let's do it.
Right. I'd be a big condom just dancing around.
Like, because then I'm just gonna take it off, and it's not gonna be bad. But because like they're like rubbing it on themselves. I'm like, oh man, that's exactly what I thought. I'm like, you take one shower, but I feel like you need another one because you're gonna still have it in all the places. So yeah, that's the only because and they were going back to their hotel too. So I was looking at that like, damn, that was a big thing for them to do, and they're leaving the next day.
Woo, child, better than me.
I had so many questions. I'm like, my God, they're already like showered and packing up. Like that would have taken hours, I feel, to like clean off.
Truly. I feel like you have to do one of those combos where like you get in the shower and then you get in the bathtub next. Like it's one of them situations. Like I need to
and dunk yourself, like dunk, shower, shower. Totally. Okay, but Portia had some major wins against Simon.
Yes, she did.
Dude. So her divorce is finalized and the judge has enforced the prenup. So he has to pay $40,000 a month in alimony. So Portia can live in the mansion for 36 months with Simon covering the mortgage, bills, and expenses in the meantime. The deed will be held in a joint trust under both their names until things are settled. If Portia can't refinance the house in her name within that 3-year window, the property will be sold, but she'll receive a generous share of the proceeds. She'll also receive a one-time lump sum, reportedly 6 figures, and continue to receive $40,000 per month in alimony for 14 to 15 months. Simon is responsible for her attorney fees and will let her keep the Rolls Royce he gifted her.
And you know what's crazy? This clearly is everything that like Simon agreed to anyway, because
I was going to say the prenup.
The judge enforced the prenup. Yeah. So, I mean, it sounds like a win for everybody because I don't know if he, listen.
Does he even have that money?
Right, because I don't know what he got going on right now in his situation. I don't know, but I mean, Portia, go ahead, girl. You got the house. That's what you wanted.
She did it. She did it.
Got it.
I'm happy for her. And have you seen him? I kind of avoid his content because it was making me really grossed out. But he was like posting like in support of Donald Trump and like how he understands because he's a businessman too. I'm like, you were deported.
Literally, you were in ICE. Like, what are we talking about right now?
Yeah, so he's just trash. So I'm just happy for Portia. And again, like you said, it was the prenup. Like when I read that, I had to read it a couple times. I'm like, that was the prenup?
Right.
Like Portia did a good damn job with that prenup.
Exactly.
Nailed it, Portia.
Who was your lawyer? Help Drew ass out because
for real though.
What's going on?
For real. Okay, so that was the amazing part. Now let's get into the dark true crime world of the Gilgo Beach killer. Okay.
Let's do it.
So in case I'm going to give people like a kind of quick, how did we get here in case people don't know how we got here. So back in April, it was April 30th, May 1st, like early morning, May 1st, 2010. Shannon Gilbert calls 911 from a guy named Joe Brewer's house in Oak Beach, New York. Right? New York? Yeah. Shannon was an escort and Joe Brewer was the John. Now, mind you, she's based in Manhattan and Joe lives in Oak Beach on Long Island. So that's like a 90-minute trip. So her driver was this guy named Michael Pack. Okay, so these 911 calls are vexing and confusing.
Whew.
He's in the house. Now, there's been extended 911 calls available on YouTube that I was able to listen to, and I hadn't heard all of it. And in the one I heard, the longer one, you can hear Joe Brewer being like, just go, just leave. I'm going to go upstairs and I'm going to let you guys leave, but just please just get out. And Michael Pack is trying to be like, come on, let's go. Let's go. And she's like, how do you know my name? How do you know my real name? So, okay. We're not going to get into if she's connected to this at all, because that's a whole other thing that I might make an entirely different episode on, because it's like a whole thing. But what happens is, because of these 911 calls, the police are then alerted that there was a woman who was running around. She runs from this Joe Brewer guy's house, runs away from Michael Pack because she's, I think she took some drugs. I do. And was like tripping out. That's my take on it. But she goes to this like neighbor guy's house and he calls 911 and is like, there's a woman here and she's in front of my house and she's scared, whatever. But then Shannon leaves and Shannon runs off. So by the time police arrive, they're like, where is she? They're like, we don't know. So when they're looking for Shannon's body in this area, they come across 4 other bodies that will then be called the Gilgo 4.
Yep. And
this is Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Melissa Bartholomew, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello. So these they're all the same. They're all prostitutes who or sex workers. How dare I? Who usually advertise on Craigslist. So they that's like clearly where whoever is hunting them is going to get them. Now, you would think that this would spark all kinds of stuff. But at the time, there's this DA named Thomas Spota. This guy is a little shady motherfucker, okay? But he also has this other guy named James Burke, who is like the chief of police or something. Now, these two have a history, and I did not know this until I watched, I think it was, maybe it was the Peacock one. I can't remember which one it was. So Spota became a prosecutor in the 70s. And in 1979, this teenage boy is found murdered. And, excuse me, Thomas Spota tries to like pin it on these other teenagers. And he can't get the story to stick. He can't get enough people to confess. But he brings in James Burke, who is 16 years old, little troubled teen, to give the most convenient statement that basically checks all the boxes off so that they could convict the people he was trying to frame for it. Yep. So that's how far back they go. So then years later, he makes him like the chief of police or some shit. Well, James Burke was very much into prostitutes. And people knew about it. He had so many complaints against him. So I was convinced for a while that he had done something to all these women.
Yeah.
I was totally convinced. But I think more what I realize now is the reason why they didn't take all the evidence they were getting and go further with it is because he was like, I can't be interviewing sex workers. I frequent sex workers. They're probably going to rat me out. Like, he was trying to literally keep them quiet.
Right.
They could have reached out and said, if there's any sex worker out there who has information, we'll forgive everything. You're safe to come in, but we need information. But because no one's going to do that. No one in that line of work is going to do that. But they have, with these 4 bodies, they're able to use information from cell phones. They got burner phones, they got locations. So they have kind of a map of where they need to be looking, right?
Yep.
And all 4 of them, they can do this. Amber Costello, she disappeared September 2010. Now, there's conflicting stories here because in Gone Girls, which was the Netflix doc, the story that we hear from—
I watched that one. I remember that one,
and it's a great one. But Dave is the roommate he's like this big guy who used to like help Amber out if she had a date that went wrong or something. Yeah. And according to him, Amber had agreed to have this guy come over, but just to dance, but then he wanted more. And so she messaged Dave, was like, come help me. This guy's not leaving. And they had to like him and this other guy to come in, but they described like this giant man. This like he resembled like an ogre, hulking guy. And he was driving a dark green first generation Chevy Avalanche. So they have all this cell phone data with locations. They have this car, this very specific car. The case goes cold for like forever. And literally when they pick the case back up in 2022 or something, it's like they just use all that same information they already had. Like it would have totally been solved way sooner. Way sooner.
Yep.
Okay, so they keep finding more bodies as they're searching and they're doing all this. So like then this is the Long Island serial killer that you've heard about. Okay, so that's where we're at. So now let's talk about the Peacock doc.
Okay.
Because this one was a very unique story because it was focusing on his wife. Rex Heuermann's wife and children. So Rex Heuermann is the one that they finally pinned for this. Now they got Rex good, guys. Like they got evidence on him for sure, right? But his wife and children stay in the house that they go and they do a search through. Now, mind you, this search in this house was like ripping out flooring in the bathroom because they were trying to get DNA and blood and all that kind of stuff. So this house was destroyed, but they continued to live there and they would totally be harassed by reporters and stuff. But then obviously the big question is, did anyone in the house know? Did they know what was happening? And the house is one of those creepy ass houses that you never want to go inside. Like none of the neighbors liked him. Rex grew up in that house. Now, something that's not in the Peacock one, but in the Gone Girls one is they interview the wife of his cousin, Rex's cousin. And so Rex's dad was like the mean guy that no one wanted to piss off. He like scared everybody.
Oh.
And this woman says, she's like, it was so crazy that Rex would want to live in this home where he was like traumatized so much, which kind of paints even more of a picture, people.
Right.
Well, it turns out that in their evidence, they found this locked room that's like a vault that had this huge gun collection, like huge, like massive gun collection, but it was always locked. No one was able to go in there. Not Asa, his wife, not anybody. But she normalized it. Like they all kind of normalized it.
That's what happens.
But they've got enough evidence to say that we think that some of these murders took place even inside of this room, this like locked vault of death. But here's what's also creepy is this room had all this like memorabilia from his dad and his grandfather. And like, so it's like even darker too. It's like he had a bad childhood. So he's got all this stuff and whatever. Well, this is an interesting one because on one of the victims, I can't remember who, there was a belt that they were tied with that had either a WH or an MW. They couldn't tell based on the way it looked. Well, the lawyer tried to be, Rex's defense lawyer tried to be like, how come they never went after the WH or the M whatever? Well, guess what? Rex's grandfather was named William Heuermann.
Whoopsie. Oh.
So, yeah. But another thing that they find is, because let me point this out.
Okay.
The house looks crazy. And I thought it was a really cool choice let me see if I have them on my computer. I don't. They interview the family, Asa and the daughter, like in the house. So it's just like, I gotta post it. It's like boxes and like it just looks like junk. Like how are they living in there? There were no beds in the house. They pulled
no
everything.
Beds.
Yes, because they pulled everything for evidence. And then they did a second search too, and they still lived in the house. Yes. Whatever. I don't need to show it. Anyway, so one of the things they find is, by the way, when I say this number, it's going to sound insane to you. They confiscated 400 different electronic devices.
Jesus.
Like, I was thinking about that. I'm like, what would I have? Like, talking about like, SIM cards and phones, burner phones, computers, hard drives, 400.
400.
Yes.
So that even means, like, in my mind, I'm giving him too much credit, but that means that, like, just over the years, there's been stuff that he's gotten and just hasn't thrown away too. So probably evidence going back for God knows how long.
Yes. Well, on what they found was this document, and it was called, hold on, let me find it. It's the deal breaker. It is the fucking deal breaker. Oh, actually, even worse is there's nuclear DNA from all 5. They got nuclear DNA from all 5 of the hairs that had been found on various victims.
Mm-hmm.
One was to Rex Huerman, and the 3 of them were to Asa, his wife, and one was to Victoria, his daughter. So they're very much connected to this.
Whoa.
Exactly. But this document is called HK 2002 to 2004. And their theory is that this was hunt kill. And that's what it was. It was literally a blueprint for a serial killer. Jeez. I'm talking, oh my God. It was like, and they used that to go and like connect it to evidence that they do have. So like how to do the prep, make sure your tires are in good order. You've surveilled the area, dispose the victim, check cameras, body prep, decapitate, harder to identify, scrape off tattoos, blood stains, hair left behind, booties, hairnet, drop cloths, the most detailed shit, even like lessons he had learned, like hit harder next time because it took too long to knock him out.
Scrape off tattoos is dark. Like you, hello. My goodness.
Exactly.
Wait, we got a question that I actually think is really interesting. Madison in the comments says, do DVDs and VHS tapes count as devices? I wonder.
I would imagine, that's a good question. I'm going to go with yes.
Okay. I would imagine, because I wonder if he one thing we learned from true crime, a lot of them like to like revisit old, like, scenes, like all this kind of stuff. So I wonder if he was someone that was like documenting along the way.
They did not find any videos of
okay.
There was no actual like footage of him doing anything. And he had actually, they could tell he tried to delete this document too. Like thought he had purchased some software that wipes your computer clean. So that's why it actually took them so long to get all the information and extract it, because they had to get someone real professional to go in and like find a way to pull it out even after his computer had been cleared off. So that's what that document also talks about hard points on the ceiling for suspending victims.
Yeah. I did not. My mind did not go there. I'm like, never. Hard points. What do you mean? Oh, goodness.
Never. I'd never thought about them being tortured. Like that never factored in. If anything, I just thought in my head, like, they were in the car and then he unalived them, whatever, that's what I thought.
We've learned a lot about the psychology of serial killers in particular who target sex workers. Like there's something there with like their history and the way they need to like almost humble women and like stuff. That's weird. So torture actually, when you think it out, that probably does track.
It tracks. It fucking tracks, you guys. Okay. So in the 3rd episode of this, they really get into it. So the investigators discover—
It's 3 total, right?
Yes, 3 total.
Okay.
Investigators discover a calendar from 2003, which they use to cross-reference with phone records so that they can start to be like, interesting, that's when Jessica Taylor disappeared, and do that kind of stuff. So every time he so I'm gonna write this out. July 20th, the day before this woman Jessica disappears, Asa and the kids go to Vermont. That same day, he visited a gun club right near where they found Jessica's body. And then you see on this doc, there's a thing that says DS1. And so they think that means dump site.
Oh.
And then it says Mill Road. And then it says DS2 ? And so like tracking it.
Wait, so I know you're probably going to explain this, but dump site 1 and dump site 2, was that in the sense of, was her body found whole when they found it?
Yes.
Okay, because I went into a dark place. I was like, oh, was he dumping like legs somewhere and then arms somewhere?
That's a great
like,
question. That is a great question because he does have some new murder charges throughout the investigation that come up. And I believe Jessica Taylor was the one who was dismembered.
Oh, see, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And when I was like, well, that's kind of odd. I thought serial killers tend to keep the same MO and like same process, but a bunch of experts were chiming in on some, I don't know, I listen to so many weird podcasts and stuff, but someone chimed in on how he actually, like Rex noted that would be important to do, to like throw off investigators because of that specific thing. That this guy's that smart.
Yep. Oh, that makes sense because once the FBI started developing like that serial killer program, like the term, I'm sure like evidence became available, and they were like, "Oh, okay, so I need to switch up my modus operandi if I'm gonna not get caught after all these years." Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. Okay, so on that same day that Jessica Taylor goes missing at 8:41 p.m., Rex was calling his family on their trip in Vermont multiple times, and his daughter Victoria, because this is the also very interesting part of this doc, is you're watching the daughter and you're watching them process this in real time. I'm going to get more into them, I promise. Yeah. But she says it never even occurred to me that he was checking to make sure we didn't come home early. I just thought he was checking in on us.
Oh.
Now, at the start of this doc, the daughter, Victoria, is also like, no way he did it. No way. And then you watch it slowly. She starts hearing more and more. And I'm wondering if Asa, so here's my theory too on Asa.
Okay. Wait, I'm sorry. Before you give me your theory, this documentary, when it's like talking like the daughter and stuff, are these past interviews or new interviews for this documentary?
New interviews for this doc, which is why this doc is so crazy. Like like the fact that they were willing to film and do interviews and talk about this is nuts.
That shocks me. Okay. Wow.
And so the big thing, I know I'm kind of jumping all over the place. The big thing is we didn't know if Asa knew this whole time. I feel like that's the big thing, right? Asa reminds me. Now, this is kind of like a deep cut. You saw True Detective first season, right?
Yes.
In that last episode of True Detective, remember this person?
Oh, yes.
Okay. For those who are just listening, Annie Dowd plays one of the characters. She's like the bad guy, like the bad guy at the end with the scarred face. She's like his sister, maybe, or I'm not even sure exactly, but it's really creepy. But Asa has like similar energy to this woman, where I don't think Asa knew, but I think that Asa was in a crazy amount of denial in order to make her able to get through it. Because Asa's story is she met a man. First, she met Rex, said she fell in love with him, but then she met another man and married him and had a kid with him. But he turned out to be a bad guy. And then Rex kind of came in and saved her.
Oh.
And so I think that she's been like living in, and he asked her to move into his home, and his home was a creepy house, and she just kind of needed to survive it, whatever. But I don't think she knew. I think she's in a psychotic amount of denial.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
And Dad, I'm sorry. And Dad, what an actress. Like, my God.
The range. Okay. So then this is where it starts to get interesting in the doc, because it's like Asa's not hearing what they're saying about evidence and whatnot. And so she has a lawyer. Asa has a lawyer, this guy, Bob. And you can tell Bob is trying to get her to look at the facts. Okay. Yeah. So Bob decides to, using like the court docs, take Asa through what they're alleging in the house, almost like a tour. Like, so in here, what they're saying is at one point he used push pins to hold up a tarp to contain DNA. And then they show up at the ceiling and there's like holes in the ceiling where you could very easily put push pins.
Yikesies.
Yikesies is right. Because it was like things to remember, push pins to hold up the tarp so you don't get DNA. Now, speaking of the DNA, Rex's lawyer tried to be like, they haven't even found any DNA in there. Not even Rex's. I'm like, you just proved that he clearly cleaned it.
Right. If you're not finding his DNA in his house, that's a little strange. Like, what?
Like, I wouldn't say that. It would be like because he cleaned it up. Oh, damn it. Never mind. Like, what are you talking about? Dumbass. But then he's taking her through, he's like, there's a prep section, 5 entries, set up stage, holding area, building table, and hard point. The hard point in the ceiling supports the weight of an individual suspended off of the ground.
Ooh.
Okay. Well, then there was one of these, I don't remember where it is in my notes, but one of these murders, the family was again gone. The family was again out of town because that's the MO.
Yep.
Family's out of town. And while they're out of town, Rex decides he's going to renovate the entire bathroom. Renovate from top to bottom, flooring, the works.
Okay.
Which is why when they went in and searched, they dug out the flooring because they're like, well, there may be DNA under here.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Ace is like, what? I mean, he's just being helpful. He's a problem solver. That's what he does. He's a problem solver. I'm like, did you need the bathroom renovated? Probably not. Like, why renovate that room when the whole house is disgusting? They even talked about how he had never updated the house in like the 60 years he had lived there. So it was just dilapidated and gross, but now he's going to do the bathroom.
You're like, girl,
yeah,
let's be so for real.
She's like in that much of denial. However, Victoria, you see hints of Victoria being like, wait a minute. And so they hook up BTK. He has a daughter who looks just like him, by the way. I feel so bad for her. My God. You look like a dead ringer for your father. That must suck.
Oh, that's sad. Oh.
But she can obviously relate to the family situation.
Is she talking in this?
Yep.
What?
She has written a book, actually. So she's kind of like, she goes to the house and she sees, and outside, she talks to Victoria alone outside. She's very gentle because Victoria is clearly still like not admitting it, like not ready to go there all the way.
She does look like him. Oh,
I know.
No.
I know. She looks just like him.
No.
But so you start to see Victoria little by little think it through and shift her perspective. Yes.
Sorry, I just saw a picture of them side by side smiling. It is beyond creepy. Okay, I'm sorry. That is, oh no. No. Okay. Oh no.
Okay, so then hold on, where am I going? The Chevy Avalanche. Remember how that guy said that he had a Chevy Avalanche? They found that in South Carolina where his brother has a property. So I think he like dumped his car there because he probably saw them, like knew they were out there fishing around. Yep. Okay, so on December 17th, 2024, he's charged with the murder of Jane Doe 6, who is Valerie Mack. That name sounds very familiar to me. That's always been like the Valerie Mack of it all. Parts of her remains were found by the gun club that Rex frequented in Manorville. So everyone that's found, there's like such an obvious connection. And now remember, he's using burner phones, but they have all the fucking burner phones and they're able to track the burner phones too, dumbass.
Oh boy.
So, I know. But then there's also in this doc, there's this bestie of Rex's who, okay, so Rex has this best friend who, I'm sorry, like when the guy talks about the gun collection and how it was like a super cool gun collection, but like not alarming at all. I'm like, I don't know. I just feel like you could have seen some signs, noticed this guy was weird. But then Rex gets arrested. So the bestie goes and not hangs out with him, but talks to him in prison. And he's like, man, this is bad, Rex. This is bad. Like, did you, it seems like you did this. And the way Rex answers, he's like, he got chills. He was like, oh my God. He kind of looked down and was like, man, like at first he said something stupid, like, well, they're not going to find any evidence or something like that. Like he was just very like oddly flippant about it. But then the way he answered one thing, he's like, oh my God. Like everything he realized, like I think that yeah. So
I'm probably not gonna come visit again, Rick.
Yeah, we're done. This is the last time. You didn't put me back on your list. I don't need to
I'm good
on your list. We're done here. We're done here. But the way this ends is interesting. So Asa, who spends the whole time being in an insane amount of denial, they're finally moving out of that house. It was such a relief to see. They were like packing it up. I'm like, get out, thank God. I feel like once she gets away from the house, I feel like there's hope that she'll be able to like figure out what happened. And then her last line is, I did what I had to do to protect myself and my children.
Oh no.
And I thought that was like kind of her way of saying like, this is what I've had to do. Like I feel like she's been living in very much denial just for her own sake.
Mm-hmm.
And until she's out of the house and away from it in a new environment, maybe she'll start to come around and be like, yeah, because the evidence is like so fucking damning. Like even they'll try to tell her, they're like, so what about the document? Like, what about the document that has all the, stuff, the binding and the whatever? And she's like, until he tells me out of his own mouth, I won't believe it. Oh. And you're like, well, that's not going to happen. So,
right.
So yeah, and like she calls Rex, Rex calls her from prison, and she's on the phone, like just in heaven and like loving it. And so it very much feels like that same lady, like
oh, no.
freaky lady. Jen Tree, thank you for asking. Who's going to buy that murder house? Exactly. They need to the whole thing needs to be knocked down, empty lot.
I was about to say, and don't build anything on top of it, because now that's haunted too. I don't want nothing, nothing to deal with that. Just tear it down, make it. I don't even know what to tell you. Make it a a fire pit. I don't know. Like
I know, right? What do you even put there? It's like just burn it forever. Like it's right, constantly on fire. Like it'll never.
Like we don't walk over there. Like no, don't go on that side of the sidewalk. It's okay.
But at the very, very end, it says on the text on the screen, it says Victoria has since spoken with production and now believes that her father is the Gilgo Beach killer.
Oh, that's that's very like end of the Sherry Papini documentary esque, because Sherry's like, is this gonna make me look worse? It's like, yeah.
Yes, girl. It's totally gonna make you look worse. Absolutely. Yeah. So I definitely recommend this doc just because it's an interesting, like, psychological examination of this family. And like, I can't believe they agreed to do it.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. Like, it's worth it alone, because I can't believe they actually agreed to. Do you know what? This is like, I remember at literally I think it was the exact same day and everything. Netflix and Hulu both put out those Firefest documentaries, like those competing Firefest documentaries. And the Netflix one gave us that guy that like said he was gonna go and like blow the guy so that like they didn't get in trouble for like something like water or something like that. So weird. But like the Hulu one, when you turn that one on, because I think I watched the Netflix one first and then went to the Hulu one, and he's actually sitting there doing an interview for the whole thing. I'm like, what is that? Like, why would you do this? And you're like, we know you clearly like have been scamming all these people, and you actually want to give your perspective. Like, that's crazy. It always shocks me when people that close to stuff actually agree. I mean, I love it, but it shocks me when they actually agree to do it, because like, you couldn't pay me enough. My God.
I know. So yeah, this is one of those cases where, because there are so many victims, we could literally like, it could be a whole entire podcast just on this. And there's actually a really good podcast, Unraveled. I think it's the Long Island serial killer, but it's Unraveled for sure. And if you haven't listened to that, this is how I got into the show, or into the case. They did a whole like special way before Rex was even caught. So they were just like piecing together information. That's when we thought like James Burke, that creepy cop, was maybe a part of it or something. So there's so many different victims. So they're also thinking that his victims, Rex's, could be in the hundreds. They also, and by the way, they're also not even looking just in that area, because he lived in other places. In the Gone Girls doc, you meet one of the women who met him like when she was working at a club and had this creepy, scary interaction with him. So that I don't remember where that was, but so they're looking wherever he's lived. Like, this man, because he was very smart and he knew how to cover his tracks. But I also, though, they let the case go cold, even though they had all this information. That's what made me so insane, was realizing they had so much of it back then, and they just picked it right back up.
Because you have to imagine, like, during that time, you're like, oh God, how many other people like that we don't know about were M-worded throughout that time. And it could have been prevented, because you could have put this guy behind bars a long time ago.
And like, the technology with DNA has come a long way too. So maybe back then they couldn't have gotten what they did now. So like it wasn't until 2022 where the DNA like technology caught up where they could extract it from the tiny bits of evidence that they did have. Because those hairs that they found on the bodies, mind you, they were outside. The bodies were just like disposed of, elements, everything, you know, so it was hard to get DNA. But 2022, the DNA was further enough along where they could get those, the Asa, Victoria, and Rex ID'd.
Yep.
So yeah, but they could have at least been looking into it. I swear, I think they could have found it just based on the information with the phones and the car. Because like when you have a specific car like that, and you know what area to go down to.
You know. I'm doing.
Is my Wi-Fi looking horrible? By the way.
Is your what looking horrible?
Is my Wi-Fi looking bad? I keep getting a warning from like my computer keeps going Wi-Fi low, and I'm like, okay.
You look crispy clear to me on my end, at least on over here on the stream.
Okay, fine, all right, good. Maybe I need to start yelling at me. Okay, finally, I was going to talk about that last week, and I've just been sitting on it, like,
right.
Want to talk about it so bad. The one I do want us to all be pondering is the Amber Costello, the Shannon Gilbert, the woman who like started the whole thing, because they do find her body.
Yep.
And they deem it an accidental drowning. And I understood why they were upset, but I'm going to say something.
Oh.
Now that I have listened to like the entirety of the 911 calls, if you look up on YouTube, you can find it, and just like hearing it more and more. And also comparing it to some of the interviews that the Gilbert family has had a lawyer representing them for a while who's been trying to dig, and he's just been fighting the good fight with that family forever.
Yeah.
But when I put everything together, they don't want to ruin Shannon's name, right? They already know she's going to be labeled the prostitute, and that's already the worst part of it, because that's how the media covers it, you know. And as soon as you're in a quote high risk job like that, they're like, well, you know, whatever.
Yep.
But when it came to what happened to her that night, to me, when I listened to it, it does sound like she's having like a drug reaction. Like she's not totally making sense, but that's
not lucid.
Like she's just like almost having like a bad trip. But the thing that the people who defend Shannon Gilbert are like, she didn't even really do drugs. But I'm like, didn't really, or did do drugs? And then Michael Pack, who is the driver, he said that like, I know she would do drugs with Johns, but I never saw her do drugs. But I know like when she went on a date, she would sometimes do drugs. I'm like, so then she could have likely, because at one point when Shannon Gilbert is at Joe Brewer's house, remember, she's like 90 minutes away from where she's normally living. She contacts Michael Pack to say, hey, I need you to take me to CVS so I can get lube. And he's like, no. And so then Joe Brewer, according to cell phone data, takes her to the CVS.
Okay.
So I'm like, was that to get drugs? Was it like something like that? Because they didn't even go in the CVS.
You think it was like code for something? Like really, we're going to the parking lot to
like maybe to get drugs, because like I bet most sex workers do drugs on a date, because it's like, I need to not be here.
Yeah, most people gotta like tune out. They don't want to be there. Like
no one wants to be like physically there, mentally there. So it's not that weird. So when you listen to the full 911 audio, everything does track with what the police concluded, because where Shannon Gilbert's body was finally found was really deep into like, you know, those tall, like the reeds can get like 12 feet tall.
Yeah.
Over in that marshy area. And so if she was tripping out and started like running in towards the reeds, you could easily get lost. Like they, at one point during the 911 call, for reference, they show what it would look like if you were walking through the reeds. Like they have like a camera going through it. And it's like, you can't see anything. Like you literally can't see one thing in front of you. And if I was the killer, how did this killer get her all the way through all of that stuff in the middle like that? Like that to me doesn't even track, because then how are they going to get back out? So it unfortunately does make sense to me that it is an accident, even though I don't want it to be, because the family's been so determined to prove it wasn't. But finding her, like her 911 call is what opened this whole
tipped
case
it all
off.
off. Yeah. So she's still, even still, if it does turn out to be an accidental drowning, she's still she was the catalyst for this man ultimately sitting behind bars today. So
exactly. So she still is a hero for making those 911 calls.
Yes.
But the more I listen to it, because I've only heard edited versions, I didn't realize how edited the versions were that I've heard.
Yeah.
But when you just listen to like all, because she calls multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you listen to all of it, I'm like, yeah, unfortunately, I can kind of see that, because where it gets me tripped up is where her body was found. No one would dump someone there. It's really hard to get in and get out.
Yeah.
You know, so, and like you would leave a lot of evidence, I would imagine. I just like, it's kind of like, I don't know. It just doesn't, it makes more sense, unfortunately, that's what was happening. But without her, they wouldn't have, none of this would have happened.
Exactly. Okay.
Which is insane.
Okay. I think you convinced me. Okay. I think I'm convinced. I'm convinced.
I did it. Because I was trying to put it together. I was listening to the long versions of the 911 calls being like, let's prove it. What's this Michael Pack guy doing? I bet he was the bad guy too. But I after like calming myself down, I'm like, I think that was, can I put links to the full 911 calls? You know what? I don't even know if I can. I would have to go through my history and find where I just typed in, let me see if I can do it again. Typed in Shannon Gilbert.
Let's see.
911 call. First thing that comes up.
Oh, perfect.
That's the one I got.
The 35-minute one?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, Shannon.
Yeah, the 35-minute, and I'm like halfway through it. Is it?
It says it lasted about 22 minutes, but the video is 35. So
yeah, well, because they kind of cut in some stuff. Yeah, so that's what I use as reference.
Okay.
Anyways, okay. That's all we got. Was that dark? Was that good? We got like we're lost in the darkness.
That was a good one. You did a good comprehensive like showing of the 3 episodes. Absolutely.
That was hard. I got a little nervous halfway through. I was like, am I gonna make it?
The notes were noting, okay? The notes were noting. I love it.
All right. Well, guys. Anything else we want to? Actually, no. I don't want to ask if there's anything else to talk about. There's a lot we need to talk about, guys. But right now, we're done. Right now, let's just get what.
So y'all know, I'm not here next week. I'm gonna be out of town. I'm traveling for like 5 days, but then I'll be back and we'll talk about all the good stuff.
Yes, we will.
All the good stuff.
Also, tonight is Gilded Age season 3 premiere. So excited. TBD on if I will go live without Kendrick. It's just kind of not as fun without him. So TBD. I may just put out an episode covering it, but like TBD. All right, guys. Love you so much. Mean it. See you next time. Bye. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show.
And make sure you're subscribed to and following the I Cannot with Kendrick Tucker podcast and with Kendrick Tucker on Instagram and Threads.
She's Speaking with Emily Hanks is available everywhere you get your podcasts, on YouTube, and also exclusive bonus content is available on the Patreon. If you want to support our shows, please rate and review on whatever platform you listen, or you can buy us a coffee. Links for everything will be in the description.
Love you all. See you next Sunday.